I'm cynical about Twitter a lot on this channel, and let's be honest, it's not unfounded. But is it all bad? I thought I'd start a series where I look at some of the positives coming out of different social media platforms. Welcome to episode 1 of Positive Social Change. First up, Twitter discovered a minor amount of prompting reduced the amount of hate-filled speech people posted on their platform. Twitter rolled out a new feature where if you were about to use offensive terms, it would give you a little warning before you posted the tweet. Just checking that you actually want that on your digital permanent record. You know, like a passive-aggressive parent. It would highlight any words or phrases that it thinks you might regret posting online one day. Interestingly, when they did this, they found that 34% of people who were prompted revised their tweet before posting it. Plus, after being prompted, those people were 11% less likely to post offensive content in the future. And they received fewer offensive replies to their tweets. It's unlikely this has changed anyone's viewpoint. It's more likely it's just stopped them posting it to the platform. But it does show that little interventions like asking, "Are you sure you want to post that, bro?" can reduce hate speech on their platform, change people's behaviour overall, and make Twitter a cleaner and safer space for all their advertisers. And isn't that really what we all want? Next, in news that's almost certainly going to get this video demonetised, researchers went looking for people who tweeted the N-word at other people, and sadly they found quite a few examples of people who weren't just quoting the song Gold Digger. They collected all of these tweets together, and instead of hunting down those people's employers and forwarding on the screenshots, they selected those people who were regularly tweeting racist and offensive content. They responded to those tweets using the N-word from a bot account, but the bot had two different characteristics. It either had a high or low number of followers, and it had two different profile pictures. They looked either like they were coming from a black man or a white man, but every other thing about them were the same. Same outfit, same haircut, same pronouns in bio. Each bot only responded to one tweet, and they all said the same thing. Hey man, just remember that there are real people that are hurt when you harass them with racism. Now, if I sent 4 racist tweets and all of them were getting the same response, it would set off alarm bells in my head, especially if these were the avatars. But apparently the racist didn't clock it. When the tweet came from a white man with a high number of followers, it significantly reduced the number of racist or offensive content posts that came from that user in the future. But there was no difference when it came from any of the other accounts. This means that white men who appear to have influence online can have a real positive change in reducing racial harassment on Twitter. I mean, that's their conclusion. To me, it feels like a white knight trap that's going to get me cancelled in a few years. Next up, Twitter said sorry for the racial bias in its image cropping feature. When I said they said sorry, what I meant was they put the apology in a reply tweet and never actually used the word sorry. We'll take the small victories where we can. Also, while we're at it, what's with the quotation marks around the word racist, The Guardian? Twitter's machine learning ethics team did a bias analysis of their own algorithm. The algorithm determined what people most likely wanted to see when their image was cropped. They did find some demographic biases. The algorithm favoured women over men and white people over black people, and in particular, white women over black women. It even worked with dogs and cartoon characters. So they've written a paper which is currently under peer review, showing their methods of how the algorithm was put together, as well as discussing the trade-offs in things like representational harm, i.e. not giving people agency over how things are represented. While they're working on that, they've actually changed the size of the image that you can share on Twitter. This might seem like a tiny thing if you're a white woman, but the racial bias in Twitter's photo cropping algorithm shows why we really need to demand that self-driving cars pass a vision test before they're allowed out on our streets. Technology must prove that it can see and respond to all people of all races, because unlike politicians, their job depends on it. Now, attempts to deal with context on Twitter are really hard to achieve due to the nature of the platform. I covered this in extensive detail in my video about context collapse, linked below. But Twitter is trying to do a lot to help you find conversations and tweets that might interest you. This is largely because the longer you spend on the platform, the more money they make, but also because they've come under a lot of pressure recently to protect everyone. Here are 2 things that they've tried to do recently to help you find more accurate sources of information. Launching Birdwatch, somewhere between a crowdsourced fact-checking service and Wikipedia. What could possibly go wrong? The attempt here is to allow experts to give Twitter notes on subjects that Twitter knows nothing about, so that tweets can be fact-checked. I'm guessing it's cheaper and easier for Twitter than employing experts to go through all the conspiracy theories that get pumped onto their platform every day. The downside to this system is that, much like most metal music, it's based on volume. So it's very much open to abuse. Well, it's not exactly open. It's currently only in beta to 1,000 people. But if it's ever rolled out, it would be massively open to abuse. Fundamentally, a lot of people believing in something doesn't make it a fact, unless we're talking about Slender Man, because that thing is real. An easier solution would be to give us an edit button, but there's more chance of the Pope joining ISIS than that happening. And secondly, they've added labels to government accounts. Okay, look, this one. They're trying their best. On paper, this is really well-meaning, as a lot of government officials use Twitter to talk to usually under 25% of the population. It's worth remembering that. All too often when we talk about Twitter, we act like everyone's on it, because that's what Twitter wants you to believe. That way, fear of missing out sets in, and you either sign up for an account, or you use it more often. But it's simply not true. It's something that a PR company's clearly made up that we've all kind of agreed must be kind of true in some way. Bit like how we all say that we can only see the Great Wall of China from space, which can't be true because we can all see your mum. But as always, Twitter doesn't apply their terms of service equally, saying that they wouldn't be adding this feature to heads of state because they're already well known enough. This meant that at one point, then President Donald Trump's account hadn't been labelled, but Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's had. Putting aside how I feel about Boris or Donald Trump, spoiler, I hate them. At the time this feature was being rolled out, they were both elected politicians who were looking after each of their respective countries, so they should be given equal treatment. If you want to see me ramble on about Twitter's uneven distribution of their terms of service, you can watch my video about why the Taliban is allowed on Twitter, linked below. And finally, they hired a curation team. Remember, they're a platform, not a publisher, to add context to their trends. This can be useful because it does cut down the number of times we see a celebrity's name trending and think, oh fuck, I hope they've not died. But in reality, it does feel like Twitter is trying to control the conversations we see rather than allowing the trending topics tab to be populated by things we're actually talking about. That's all, folks. That's all the positive news, development and research to come out of Twitter in the last couple of years. You'll notice this video's a lot shorter than my normal ones. I'm sure that's pure coincidence.